Those dark brown granules, once viewed by many with skepticism as artificial products lacking authentic flavor, are precisely what wake up billions of people around the world every morning. It is instant coffee, the secret weapon that has allowed Nescafé to dominate the beverage industry for nearly a century. The journey spans from ripe coffee cherries harvested on vast plantations to colossal Nescafé factories, where the beans undergo complex, awe-inspiring processes. But where does the real secret lie? How do hard, raw coffee beans transform into a powder that dissolves instantly in hot water while retaining its signature aroma and rich flavor? Let's find out. Instant coffee has come a long way since it first appeared in 1890. By 1938, Nescafé began commercial production and gradually became one of the world's largest coffee brands, capturing approximately 80% of the global instant coffee market. The journey of a cup of instant coffee begins not merely with tiny coffee beans, but as the fruit of labor for over 100,000 farmers in leading coffee-producing nations like Brazil and Vietnam, countries that together account for approximately 55% of global coffee output. Coffee plants thrive only in tropical highland regions situated 800 to 2,000 meters above sea level, where the climate is temperate and the temperature hovers around an ideal 20 degrees Celsius. It all begins with white coffee blossoms bursting into bloom following the season's first rains. These flowers are fleeting, lasting only a few days, sometimes less than a week. As the petals fall, small coffee cherries begin to form. Over the next 9 months, they mature, shifting from green to a vibrant red under the highland sun. The ideal time to commence the harvest is when approximately 95% of the cherries have reached peak ripeness. Since the majority of coffee is grown in highland regions characterized by steep, rugged terrain that is difficult for machinery to access, mechanization is virtually impossible. Consequently, over 90% of the world's coffee output is still harvested by hand. Pickers must observe the cherries closely to select only those at peak ripeness, avoiding both unripe and overripe fruit. Once picked, each cherry is carefully placed into large baskets positioned nearby. Coffee harvesting is typically a collective effort. Farmers often work in teams to speed up the process, then gather at a central point to load full baskets onto trucks for transport to processing facilities. Each worker earns approximately $1 per hour and can harvest around 30 kilos of coffee cherries daily. Sadly, the very people who grow and harvest the coffee beans are often the ones who receive the least compensation. Immediately after harvest, trucks quickly transport the coffee to processing areas to ensure maximum freshness. Trucks quickly transport hundreds of kilograms of coffee cherries to the processing facility. A worker standing on the truck uses a shovel or their hands to push layers of cherries toward the side discharge chute. These freshly harvested, deep red cherries offer a mild sweetness and a delicate, bright acidity reminiscent of ripe berries, with thin, juicy pulp surrounding the bean inside. The coffee cherries continue their journey as a conveyor belt lifts them upward, before they cascade into a holding tank like a waterfall of ripe fruit. Here, a continuous spray of clean water creates a powerful current that sweeps the cherries into the washing system. This stage aims to remove leaves, dirt, sand, and any cherries that float to the surface, elements that do not meet quality standards. Carried by the water flow, the cherries enter specially designed rotating drums with textured surfaces. As the drums spin, the outer skin of the fruit is gently pressed against stationary bars, separating the skin and red pulp from the coffee bean inside. This process demands high precision. The applied force must be strong enough to effectively remove the skin and pulp, yet gentle enough to avoid damaging the coffee beans. Finally, the beans, now separated from the fruit flesh, drop down to proceed to the next stage of processing. The separated coffee pulp is collected and repurposed as fertilizer for the coffee trees themselves. At this stage, the coffee beans are still coated in a sticky, gelatinous layer known as mucilage. Rich in sugars and organic compounds, this layer can over-ferment, producing sour notes and unpleasant odors that spoil the beans. To remove this mucilage, the beans are transferred to fermentation tanks, typically tiled, where clean spring water is introduced. Over the next 24 hours, a natural fermentation process breaks down and softens the mucilage clinging to the beans. Once the mucilage has softened and loosened, the beans are channeled into specially designed water troughs for washing. As they drift along the cool current, the beans are naturally cleansed and gently transported to the next stage of processing with minimal manual effort. After being washed, the coffee beans are gathered using specialized tools and transported to the drying area. There, they are spread in thin layers across flat concrete patios to dry thoroughly under natural sunlight. Throughout this process, farmers use wooden rakes to turn the beans multiple times a day, ensuring even drying and preventing mold or unwanted fermentation. The drying phase typically lasts between 7 and 14 days, until the moisture content drops to an ideal level of approximately 11%. Once this level is reached, the coffee can be stored for extended periods without significant loss of quality. After drying, the coffee beans are fed into a specialized vibrating sorter that uses high-frequency vibrations to grade the beans based on size and weight. Strategically placed metal or wooden partitions separate small or broken beans from those meeting export standards. Simultaneously, dust, sand, and other impurities, which may have become mixed in during the drying process, are removed, resulting in cleaner, more uniform coffee beans. After passing the final selection stage, the qualifying coffee beans are carefully packed into large jute sacks. These sacks are placed on a conveyor belt, moving continuously through the sewing and shipping code verification stations. Finally, the sacks are loaded into containers, ready for their transoceanic journey to various countries around the world. Upon arrival in the United States, the value of the coffee can increase tenfold, reaching approximately $30 per kilogram. The coffee beans continue their journey at the Nescafé factory in Arizona, where beans imported from major growing regions worldwide begin the process of transforming into the familiar products found on store shelves. Here, shipping containers arriving from the port are transported to the facility, where sacks of coffee are rapidly unloaded by specialized forklifts. They are placed onto an automated conveyor system that moves them continuously into the raw material receiving area. The pallets are then moved into a massive storage warehouse, where thousands of sacks await their turn to enter the modern instant coffee production line. Quality control staff enter the warehouse with a crucial mission, ensuring every batch of coffee meets standards before entering production. They use specialized tools to take samples from various points within each bag. The coffee beans are then poured onto trays for a careful inspection of color, size, and uniformity, while also being smelled directly to assess their characteristic aroma. After undergoing rigorous quality control, each bag of coffee is opened and emptied into the feed hopper system, where the beans begin their journey deep into the processing plant. Next comes the roasting process. The coffee beans are fed into industrial double-walled roasting drums, where temperatures reach approximately 280 degrees Celsius. Streams of hot air circulate evenly within the roasting chamber, heating the beans from the inside out without scorching the exterior. Depending on the coffee variety and the desired flavor profile, the roasting process can last anywhere from 8 to 20 minutes. This stage is crucial as it determines the color, texture, aroma, and flavor characteristics of each batch. An interesting fact few people realize is that light roast coffee often retains more caffeine by weight than dark roast coffee. While dark roasts offer a bolder, more intense flavor, their caffeine content may be slightly lower. Throughout the process, the roast master monitors the bean's color and listens for the characteristic cracks to determine the perfect moment to finish. Once the beans achieve a uniform dark brown color, they are immediately transferred to the cooling stage. Here, the beans are spread evenly across a large tray. Rotating metal arms constantly stir the beans, while a ventilation system forces cool air upward through a perforated base. This process lasts about 5 minutes and plays a vital role in the final flavor. Even a delay of just a few minutes in cooling allows residual heat to continue roasting the beans, potentially causing a burnt aroma and excessive bitterness. Once completely cooled, the coffee beans travel through a sealed piping system to the grinding area. There, they are fed into high-capacity industrial grinders capable of processing hundreds of kilograms of coffee per hour. Steel grinding components operate at high speeds, breaking the beans down into coarse, uniformly sized particles. This uniformity is crucial, as it ensures a more stable and efficient extraction process. After grinding, the coffee is fed into sealed extraction vessels, where the steeping and extraction processes begin. High-temperature, high-pressure water is introduced into the system, dissolving the flavor compounds, aromatics, and caffeine present in the coffee grounds. The result is a concentrated, flavorful coffee extract containing the majority of the characteristic compounds released from the roasted and ground coffee beans. The concentrated coffee extract is transferred to a deep freezing area in preparation for freeze-drying. There, the coffee is spread in thin layers onto large trays, resembling baking sheets, and then placed into low-pressure chambers. The temperature is maintained at a steady 140 degrees for approximately 5 hours. During this time, the concentrated coffee extract freezes completely, forming solid blocks that resemble thick slabs of brown ice. The sublimation process proceeds, removing the frozen water within the coffee by converting it directly from a solid to a gas, bypassing the liquid phase. A vacuum system continuously extracts water vapor from the drying chamber, ultimately leaving behind dry, crisp coffee crystals that retain most of their original, distinctive flavor. At the end of the line, thousands of glass jars stand neatly arranged, ready for the packaging stage. An automated filling system dispenses a precise amount of instant coffee into each jar, ensuring consistent weight and minimizing aroma loss. The jars then move along the conveyor belt to the automatic capping station, where each lid is positioned and sealed tight in a matter of seconds. After being capped, the coffee jars proceed to an automated labeling system, where each label is precisely applied to the correct position. Throughout the process, dedicated technicians continuously monitor the production line to ensure no errors occur at any stage. On average, the factory can produce hundreds of thousands of jars of instant coffee per day. The coffee jars are automatically arranged neatly into trays by robots. These trays travel along a conveyor system to the packaging area, where they are placed into cartons and securely sealed to protect the product during transit. Finally, the finished cartons are moved to the warehouse, ready for distribution to supermarkets and stores across the market. All right, so next time you have a cup of instant coffee, you won't have to wonder how it's made. I've explained the whole process in detail. I hope you found it easy to follow. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Please do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Goodbye, and see you in the next Mido Explained video.